Here talking with MSUB softball player Megan Dettling. Megan, the team had another long road trip.
Yes.
Started out Simon Fraser, started the GNAC 2 weeks ago. Talk a little bit about those 4 games and what the team's goals were and what your takeaways were.
I feel like as our team's goals, we were trying so hard to just win the game, and especially since Simon lately hasn't been one of the best teams in our league for the past couple of years, I think a couple of us overlooked them, but our takeaways are staying aggressive, hitting, having good defense, and figuring out like how to play the game step by step instead of just rushing through it all. I think as our hitters started to see what we needed to do differently from the 4 games, we put it into the British Columbia games, and our hitters just did awesome. They hit everything that was possible. They were aggressive, and we got on base and we did our job. We were moving runners over and scoring and playing even little ball by bunting and stuff. So it worked out the way that we needed to. And even with our defense did awesome those games and kept the ball down, and as our pitchers did, and we did our jobs the way we were supposed to do, and we had fun with it. So that's the good thing, is we had fun.
And this is your second year in the GNAC, so I'm sure you learned a lot your first year. Why don't you talk about some of what you learned that's going to help put into practice for this season?
I guess what I've learned, like from my personal experience, is not getting down on myself with pitching, because that's one of the things that I do. Is if I mess up, then I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep messing up. But it's like, how are you going to rebound back? Because pitching, you have to have a really strong mind and erase it quick. And I guess as everything else, our team does really good, I feel like, as rebounding, as hitters, and defensively. So I trust in our team that we're going to be able to do that this year. And so hopefully it keeps coming up like how we did against BC.
So last year you just sat in the circle for MSUB, and this year they put you on offense. Why don't you talk about that and making the transition to being, on the field all the time now?
The transition was pretty difficult for me a little bit, because I haven't been there for a year behind to hit. And once I did it, it's a comfort level for pitchers, because we're able to take out our angers and our stresses off of the mound into the hitting and use it from the bat to the ball. And it's nice to be able to be in the lineup and be able to help the team and even help myself when I make a mistake in the field and, let's say, like, give up a home run. Like, it's nice to be able to be behind the plate and be like, I'm going to move this runner over. I'm going to be the one to get on base and have the people behind me get me to score. So it's kind of nice to be able to play 2 roles.
And losing 7 seniors, obviously the team's a little bit different this year. Talk about the transition and how you've worked with your new infield this year.
The transition was a little bit different. It's hard when you have 3 seniors behind you, and one behind the plate catching your ball, and then the other one also playing your spot in the circle with you. And so I guess the transition is very different, because there's players that didn't see the field at all last year. I mean, Cameron Casanelli, of course, did awesome hitting-wise, but she never got to see the field. And when she got out there, she's done awesome in the field, and so has Rissa and Jess. Like, those players that are like brand new into the field, they're doing great and helping out our team the way it needs to happen, I guess.
So this weekend, you start your home season. You're going to be welcoming St. Martin's, who won the GNAC last year. So they're certainly a tough team again this year. Talk about what the team wants to do this weekend.
I think our team goal is to just take pitch by pitch, inning by inning, and game by game, and to be able to find a way to stay aggressive and hit the ball, play defense, pitch the ball, and like get the outs that we need, because that's how we're going to win the game, is if we just get outs and make it faster and easier. Because if we have our hiccups in the game, it's not going to work, because St. Martin's will run and do all these they're very tricky. So if we just play at the MSUB softball that we normally do, we're going to be fine.
And one of the fun facts about the team coming in is that your sister is one of the starting players for the Saints. Talk about that dynamic and kind of how that has changed over the years.
I guess the changes is my mental game. I went back home for summer and worked really hard on keeping my mind straight and figuring out ways to get her out, like no matter what. It is very difficult because we have played against each other or with each other for years now, and she knows what I pitch. I know what she can and can't hit, so it's a little bit harder, but I know that if I just get the ball over the plate and like throw the strikes and get it there and she hits it like 3 out of the 10 times that she might get on base, the other times like she won't. Like I have ways to get her out. So hopefully this year I just keep my mindset right and stay strong mentally and get the job done the way it should be.
And you said your parents are gonna be here, which is fun because they can watch both their daughters. Talk about your support system this year and kind of how that has helped you.
It's helped seeing my parents be there and like for games because my parents are my life. Like I wouldn't be here in this spot without my parents, and especially my sister. My sister worked on the field with me when we weren't around our parents, and my parents helped me like in school and all this stuff. And it has a really good support system because it just makes me feel like I always have a way to be happy with softball, even if I don't perform the way I'm supposed to. I know that my parents will always be proud of me because I am living the dream that I possibly can. And softball, you make errors and you fail all the time, but what helps is having that support of my family and my sister to help me be happy and realize the good things that I did in the game and not the bad.
And maybe you could finish up with Yellow Jacket softball, kind of what that means for you this year and what you want to bring to your team.
Yellow Jacket softball means to me personally is it's my world, like it's my life. Like I wouldn't do anything without this team. Like these girls are my family here, and this year I want to put in the best of the best that I can and play a big role for my girls and be that pitcher on the mound and be that hitter to hit the ball and like get my runners in. And I want us to do amazing this year and try and do as last year. I know it's going to be a little bit harder because we are pretty young, but I know like in my gut everybody wants to do it, and so we'll be able to do it. So.
Thanks and good luck this weekend.
Yes, thank you.
I'm here talking with MSUB softball coach Rebekah Gasner. Becca, the team just got back from another long trip. First off, they started at Simon Fraser to open their conference schedule. Took a couple of losses against the Clan, but why don't you talk about what your takeaways were, kind of what you learned throughout the game?
I was pretty excited that we got to open our GNAC conference. Finally, it seems like we had been practicing quite a bit at home, waiting between the Desert Stinger and Dixie State tournaments to having 2.5 weeks here at home practicing. So I feel like the team was ready at that point. It just seemed like, we needed to take a little bit better approaches at the plate when we had runners in scoring position. But I think it was definitely a learning weekend for us, and the team has come back this last week and have been really focused at practice, and I think we're ready to open with our home games against St. Martin's. As far as our games against UBC, I think we played very well that game. I know that the team felt really confident after those 2 wins, especially late in the second game when we went into extra innings. I really felt that our offense was really relaxed at that point, and they were able to put the ball in play and move runners around and score when we needed to.
And certainly, since your team is still kind of new, especially the infield, you're still making some changes on your lineup. Could you comment on, how the team is coming together at this point in the season?
Definitely think that with changing the lineup, I think the team has to be ready at any given point, especially all the players that we have. We have quite a big team, so getting them to come together as such a big group has had its challenges, but I think now that we are in conference and have our goal in mind of GNAC tournament and having a good win there, really helps them stay focused together as a team with those goals ahead of them.
You're going to be at home this week, which is great, but opening against the defending champion, St. Martin's. Talk about what you've challenged your team with for this opening weekend.
St. Martin's has always been a big rival for us. I know that we have always enjoyed playing them, but I'm going to go in with this weekend with the same expectations that we will go ahead and play hard no matter what team we have in our lineup and what team that they have in their lineup. I know they have a lot of new players. They graduated a lot of players that were key to their program. So I think we just need to be ready and, take what we can and run with it and execute in situations that were given to us or that we have put ourselves in.
And certainly you've had some players step up for you in different roles. Corey Gam is a senior on your team. She's been really consistent for you. Megan Dettling is your main pitcher this year. Why don't you talk about some of the leaders that have come out of the last couple of weeks for you?
It's been really fun watching our leaders emerge, especially now that we are starting to play games and putting together teams on the field. We've had a great group of leaders emerge. Corey Gammon has been very consistent for us. So we have moved her around in the lineup as well just so that we can continue to have her on base since she is an asset for us in the lineup and speed as well. Megan Dettling has definitely stepped up in the circle and she's been very fun to watch at the plate. I know this is a new experience for her this year since she didn't hit as much last year. So she has been a really clutch hitter with runners in scoring position. So trying to utilize that just as much as we can and keep the team confident and on track and staying focused.
So I know one of the things that comes out of this culture is Yellow Jacket softball. Do you want to comment on what you're telling your team about Yellow Jacket softball on this opening weekend?
Yes, we talk about Yellow Jacket softball all the time. We talk about staying within ourselves and playing Yellow Jacket softball. We've defined what Yellow Jacket softball is to this team in particular, the Sweet 16 team. They've talked about how can we be a legacy as Yellow Jacket softball and continuing the legacy that the seniors last year have left for us and even teams in the past. We've had really good seasons going into the GNAC tournament, and I know that that's where this team wants to go again.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.